Welcome to this episode of the Connecting Faith to Life podcast. I'm Trey Rhodes, the Connections Pastor at Northwood Baptist Church here in North Charleston, South Carolina. In just a few moments, our lead pastor, Dr. Tommy Metter, will be joining the conversation as well. In our crazy and chaotic world, our hope is that these few minutes will help you stop and reflect on your relationship with Jesus as you learn to connect Christ-centered faith to your everyday life. Episode 190 of the Connecting Faith to Life podcast. That's exciting. And I am amazed that people continue to listen. And I appreciate y'all doing that. So as you do that, get out there, invite people, Facebook, Twitter, call them on the phone, whatever it takes, just get the word out because we want them to also be able to understand the Word of God and then connect it to their everyday life. That's the most important thing that we can do as believers in Jesus Christ is to let the Word of God speak through us and live through us.
Does your wife still listen, Trey?
She does. She is faithful. She is more than faithful. She'll go back and listen twice.
Twice?
She listens on Wednesday mornings.
Okay.
That's when she does it. And then
on her commute to school?
No. She actually listens in the morning that's part of her time with the Lord, man.
You and I are part of her time with the Lord.
Yes, I mean it's right that important to her.
Well, Miss Kelly, if you're having your time with the Lord right now, thank you for including me and Trey. I appreciate that.
So anyway, yeah, she loves it, and she'll listen. When she gets in the traffic. Something going on, she'll go back and listen again.
Yeah, traffic was bad this morning.
Yeah,
that's
maybe what I heard.
You. It was hard for me. It took me almost an hour to get here.
This is why I live in Hanahan.
I can't afford living in Hanahan, Pops.
Oh, my heavens, brother. Don't even I live in a cracker box. But anyway,
that's
okay.
It's a nice cracker box.
It is. I like it. I'm not complaining.
Speaking of cracker boxes, your son is on, I don't know how this is segue from cracker box, but you live in a small apartment in Boston.
Small apartment.
This is true.
I think his place is smaller than our place. So.
And he has 14 kids. And so that's, how is that living situation, Ivey? It's got to be interesting.
It's wild. Right? Yeah, it's wild. We have kids everywhere. 1,100 square feet. We stuffed 4 boys in one room, and then our one girl, and she has her own room. And her younger brother, who's the oldest of the boys.
Yeah, because you got teenagers now and all that, right?
Yeah.
So teenagers in a 1,100 square foot apartment. That's got to be. And how many bathrooms do you have?
Just one.
You have one bathroom.
That's the hardest part. Yeah, we've been praying about getting a second. Yeah, we would love to do something like that.
So how does that even work? Like you schedule it out or?
Well, we try to have certain times that people.
Here's your bathroom time.
It honestly does not work very well.
Yeah, because it's hard to schedule your system, I guess, and trying to figure that out too. It'd be nice.
Well, we just say who's taking a shower in the evening and who's taking a shower in the morning.
So because you guys do homeschool as well, right?
We do for our 3 youngest.
Youngest, okay. Mm-hmm. So that's a bunch of people in the house all day long.
Yes.
But you don't work from home, right? You've got an office that you go to, or you used to do some work from home, didn't you? Or you kind of do a combination?
So we do a combination of the two, yeah. So we do have an office over at the church building, and I go over there a couple of times a week, and then also work from home some, just depending. During school time, when we're having to drop them off, pick them up, different activities and stuff, we I don't have access to the car all the time, and when it's 20 degrees outside like it is right now, riding my bike is just not an option for me.
No,
I mean, for some people, there's still some people that do it, but I'm just not into it.
Oh man.
You got too much Southern in you. But
well, if you haven't guessed yet, we have Ivey Rhodes, Trey's son, on the podcast today because I wanted to get an update from him, just hear about some things that have been going on in Boston. The past year or so, it's been a long time since we had an opportunity to catch up with Ivey and what's happening in Boston. And also, we're sending some teams to be with Ivey. We're sending a team next week. We've got a team of college, I think 11 college students are going to go and serve alongside Boston. I keep calling you Boston. You're Ivey. You're in Boston. Sorry, it's too early.
Boston Ivey.
Yeah, so Boston Ivey. So we've got kids coming up there to serve with Ivey next week, and then we're putting together a team to go this summer. And so if you're part of the Northwood family and you're interested in going to Boston to serve alongside Ivey, this summer is your opportunity. I think it's in June, sometime in June. It's the same week of our vacation Bible
June
school.
17 to 24, and I'm going to be going too, so you're going to go alongside me.
Yeah, so it'll be good. And coming in June would probably be a lot better than going right now.
Oh, yeah.
Our college students are braving it. They're going up there next week, and you said it's 20 degrees right now in sunny Boston, Massachusetts.
It warmed up to 33. It was 15 this morning. It warmed up quick. But, so...
Wow. It was 84 here yesterday in Charleston. 84.
Oh my word!
Yeah,
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah,
We're suffering through, but
I always tell college students when they come up for spring break, it's only spring break,
In-
in theory, but in
Yeah.
reality, it is winter break for sure.
Oh,
Middle of
man.
winter.
I'm sorry.
Many times we have snowstorms every time a team comes up during that time. So we'll see what happens with this team.
Yeah. So 1,100 square feet, 14 kids in your house, 20 degrees outside. You're living the dream, brother. You are living the dream.
I know. I probably should say it's only 5 kids. It's not really 14 in case anybody gets confused.
But once you get past 2 or 3 kids, they all feel like it just feels like 14.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got 2 and it feels like 14 sometimes. So, I mean, it just, well.
Yeah. Well, for sure.
So I if you're part of the Northwood family, again, Ivey is Trey's son, and we've been supporting Ivey for a few years now. Financially, as a church, we support them financially, and we also support them by sending teams up there. And so we do love Ivey and his church and what God is doing in Boston. And Boston is one of the least reached cities in the United States of America. And so you've shared this with us before, Ivey, but just for those who might be new to the podcast, to give some context, you have been there 5 years, correct?
We've been here about 6.5 years.
6.5
the church
years.
is 5 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just in a minute, remind us how God drew your heart to Boston.
Yeah. So I was working with my dad at a church plant in Mount Pleasant, and I just felt an intense call to plant. I told him that, and he said, I think God is working in that way. It sounds like you should work in that direction. That was in 2012. And so next step was to head to seminary. So I went to Southeastern, met some great people who ended up pointing me to Boston. I looked at the deep need in Boston, and one of the things that I wanted to do was, and Romans 15:20 has been kind of my verse that I go to go to just go to hard places. Essentially, is what the Apostle Paul talks about there. And so we wanted to do that. So we found Jamaica Plain. So Boston is probably one of the most difficult places to plant a church in the country, and then Jamaica Plain is probably one of the most difficult neighborhoods to plant a church in. So we really, we tried to make it as hard as possible for ourselves. But I went there, met some great pastors who really encouraged me, and there was a great brotherhood here. And it wasn't about competition; it was about helping each other, and that's what I love.
Yeah,
yeah, and that landed us here in 2016, September 2016. We started the church in October of 2017.
So you say that Jamaica Plain is one of the most difficult neighborhoods in the country to plant a church in. What makes Jamaica Plain so difficult?
Well, first off, it's in Boston, so you just have about 2% of people that would consider themselves followers of Christ, as we would think of it. Now, there's several people that may have gone to church. Lots of people may have gone to church at one point in their life, or maybe they're Catholic or lapsed Catholic or whatever, but very low percentage of people would consider themselves Christians if you ask them on the street. So that in of itself creates difficulties because they're not working from a Christian framework. You have to begin at the beginning from worldview. You're not just fighting in terms of how they think about things. You're not just fighting, hey, you're a sinner and you need Jesus. You got to explain what sin is. You got to explain who Jesus is. It's just so much in the beginning. So that in and of itself is difficult. But then the neighborhood also is not exactly thrilled that we are there. It is a neighborhood that its history has made it into a place that can kind of seem like a promised land for people that have felt like outcasts, particularly in sexual, orientation and things like that. And so the idea that a church that believes the biblical standard for sex and marriage and that kind of thing, really just our existence. Somebody messaged me the other day and said that our existence in the neighborhood itself is violence. And so,
that's encouraging.
Real encouraging. So you have that too. We have a friend who started a coffee shop as an outreach here, and immediately began to be picketed. And so it's not a free coffee shop, like it's just a regular coffee shop. They just wanted to be able to interact with the community and try something different. And it's going okay for them right now, but a lot of pushback. So you got those kinds of things going on.
So is this coffee shop, they explicitly advertise themselves as a Christian coffee shop, or how's that work?
They don't, but they made the mistake. And this is one thing we found out, and I've been thinking about it a lot recently. They don't do that. They got an article written about them in a good way, like explaining who they are, what they do. And then people saw that article and then, began to say, oh, this is a Christian church that runs this coffee shop.
Gotcha.
We're going to begin to picket them, and have done that. So anyway, posters and everything all over the neighborhood. So I'm just saying, like, that's an example of things that have happened. We've been threatened multiple times. So I don't, we're not like, Pakistan or something like that. I don't want to make it sound like that, but
it's different than Charleston. Yeah. It's different than Mount Pleasant.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Lots.
Yeah.
But over the past year, you have seen some unique things take place in life, or maybe a little bit more than a year, I guess, because when you got there, you guys were affiliated with a church in Boston, and so you're now an independent church. You don't have that affiliation like you used to. So you're not. You used to be Mosaic Jamaica Plain, but you had a name change, and now you guys are Arborway Community Church. And not only that, but over the past year or so, you've moved. You were in a school meeting and just all the challenges of being in a school, and then on top of that, the challenges of being in a school in Boston. And now you're, and in fact, at Northwood, we tried to help you guys with this. I remember that you guys were looking at different options to get out of that school and get into your own place, which the place you're in now isn't your own place. I know it's owned by another church, but you guys are in a location that's a lot different than a school. And I know we raised a bunch of money for you guys to help you guys to get out of that school and so we tried to play a part in that with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you guys are now in a traditional church facility. You don't own it, but you've got a lot of freedom in that place, more freedom than you had in the school. So tell us about some of those transitions that you've seen over the past year, just in the name change and the change of location, and how you have seen just the Lord work in that process of getting you into that new place with a new name.
Yeah. So the new location came about somewhat into COVID. We were able to, because the schools were closed, there was no meeting. So the fact that we were able to get into a location outside of the school meant that we can meet a little earlier than a lot of the different churches that were in schools. And so that was a huge deal. It's a church building owned by another denomination who leases it to us. And
so for the most part, do they meet there as well, or what's that look like?
Well, there's a Spanish church in that denomination that meets, but they also lease it. The original church, because of some of the reasons I talked about earlier in Jamaica Plain, the original church ended up closing down, sadly. It was, it's a gospel it's a denomination that believes the gospel, and that's one of the reasons the church ended up shutting down. The denomination stepped in and said, sorry, we can't have this going on, shut it down, and then reached out to us to see if we wanted to rent it. So, anyway, so we're renting in there, and it's been awesome. It's been incredible. It allowed us to meet earlier, and also we found that there's a little more tolerance if we meet in a religious facility in the neighborhood, and so we get left alone a little bit more in that sense. We recently changed our name. There are a lot of reasons for it, but what it came down to is our heart wanted to be a church that was more connected to the neighborhood and surrounding area we are in. The area where our church is right off what's known as the Arborway. And so we thought, you know what, we want to kind of settle ourselves here. Our old name, Mosaic, felt like something that could be, and it is, it's a name that's all over. Not all the Mosaics are connected in any way, but it's used all over because it's so bland in a sense. You could put it anywhere, you could put it in Wisconsin or where, Seattle or Boston, but we wanted to be something that was connected where we were. And that means something to Jamaica Plain. It's a place that whenever a business opens up that is not just like a local business, they're out there picketing that too, because they want it to be a neighborhood full of local businesses. And so we said, you know what, we don't want that kind of branding. We want something that's more about this place. And it's been really beneficial for us, and people seem to connect to it. Yeah. So.
Well, over this past year, just kind of give us an update on the church itself, just some of the things you've seen take place in your congregation. I know you guys have seen people come to faith in Christ. You're seeing some growth. So are you? I know you still get the the not so encouraging emails like you received this past week. But do you see the heart of the community softening in any way towards Arborway? I mean, what are you seeing the Lord do?
Yeah. So in many ways, it's amazing. I am in awe of what God has done. So during COVID, as most churches, it just was a really tough time. Our first service back from COVID, it was the media team that I scheduled to be there, and then one other person who came off the street. And that was when I realized my own family wasn't there that week.
Yeah.
And I just realized it was going to be a tough road forward. And it was. And so we went basically from nobody. And this past week, we had over 50, and we've been averaging that, which doesn't sound, from a Southern standpoint, that doesn't sound great. But in our neighborhood, when I told the denomination we rent the church building from how many we were running on a regular basis, he's like, that's a miracle, right?
Y'all are a mega church in Boston, man.
At least in Jamaica Plain, and we are just so grateful that we can be there. Now we still want to grow, and we still are, doing that. We've seen people come to Jesus. We did a basketball clinic that was absolutely incredible this past year. I hope you guys can be a part of one this coming year.
We hope so too.
Yeah, we did it, and it was awesome. We had a lady come to the Lord just through us talking to her. She came to church. She was saved, baptized, and now her husband is coming to church every single week. And it's basically just because her son said, "Daddy, I want our family to go to church together."
Wow.
And so he's been coming, and this is what I know about Dad. I know that he loves his son, but if he didn't want to be there and God wasn't doing something in his life, he probably wouldn't.
That's right.
That's right. So I think God's really working in his heart. He's a quiet guy, so we'll see what happens. But so things like that, stories like that. A guy who was actually we were hiring to do our sound for us ended up hearing the gospel for the first time every single week, because he wasn't a Christian. We knew that, but he came in, he was doing the sound, and he just was moved to tears after every single service, and eventually he came to follow Christ too. And it's stories like that that keep you going. And we have a lot of people in the church that grew up Christian, or I say Christian, I say grew up around Christianity, in church, and then have in a sense owned their faith and followed Christ and then baptized. And so we see a lot of that too, where people come and they're like, for the first time, this isn't my parents' faith. This is my faith. Wow. A lot of young people in Boston. So
that's great too.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were able to bring on a partner ministry, right? You've got an associate staff member with you now who has some South Carolina roots as well, right?
He does. Yeah, he's from the upstate. Huge Clemson fan.
So we all have our flaws, and so yeah.
His name is Matt. He's been great for us, and he leads our worship and has been also our discipleship director, and done a great job. We've been so thankful to have him. We never had a consistent worship leader up until he came a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
So just having him be here and ministering has been super helpful. We're so grateful. Yeah.
So here you are. You've been in Boston now for 6.5 years. You've had an interesting ministry. You've planted a church. You've seen lots of transitions. You saw COVID, and really, I guess in some ways, you had to restart your church again after COVID, just because you had the transition to another building and then all those kinds of things. So let me ask you this, just on a personal level, how's Boston feeling to you? Is it starting to feel like home?
Yes, I would say so. I think, in fact, we bought a house. We're here. Our kids are in a good school that has been really good for them for the most part, and yeah, it definitely feels like home. And when we come down to visit, it feels like we're coming down to visit.
Yeah.
And we love being back in Charleston, and that also has it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a place. It's nostalgic to come back down to Charleston, but Boston has become home. We got a lot of friends and loved ones up here too.
Yeah,
so, sure.
It's just neat how God does that, right? Like, I'm not from Charleston. I've been here 6 years now, so about the same amount of time that you've been in Boston. And Charleston is not physical home, but man, it sure does feel like it. You know what I'm saying? It feels like home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as a pastor, I think God just does that in our hearts. So wherever he places us, he kind of attaches us to that, not to that, just to that church, but to that city and that community. And I know that you have this, because you've been there now for 6 years and you had this clear call of God to go there. You have this deep love for Boston and so, man, yeah, we were really inspired by that and appreciate that. So we've got, again, 2 teams coming. We have the team coming next week, a bunch of college students. I know they're going to have a blast. I know that you're going to love on them as they love on the city, and I know it's going to be a lot of fun. So tell us when you have a team, and this isn't the only college team you have coming. Over spring breaks, you have different teams that come in to help and support. And just give us an idea when a team like this one that's coming next week comes, what do they do? How do they spend their time there in Boston over the course of the week they'll be there?
Yeah, so this situation is a little bit different from some of our other mission teams. We plan like the team you guys have coming up and stuff. During the summer, we have more opportunities to do things with kids and students who are out of school.
Out and all, for sure.
But in particular, on spring break, we're going to be focusing on our just around the community and building connections and endearing people, hopefully, to Christ ultimately, and to the church, and giving opportunities to share the gospel. So ways we do that, we found we can kind of bring down barriers if we give things to people. Giving things to people is so strange in general, but really strange in Boston. They always think that you want money or you're looking for a donation. So tube of chapstick during this cold weather is like, wow, this is for me. And then if they have a few moments, they might stop. Maybe they'll grab a cup of coffee. We'll give away some coffee too. And then while they're making their coffee, we get an opportunity to talk to them. And we've had many conversations about the gospel come out of that. So that's one of the things we'll be doing. We'll also be going around and praying in local businesses. We go around to just walk down our street that our church is on. We walk in a business and we say, hey, we're from the church down the street, and we want to know if you have any prayer needs. We'd love to pray for you today if you do. And honestly, 75% of people will say, yeah, I do. I have this thing going on, that going on. I'd love for you to pray for me. We get to pray for them right there. Sometimes that gives opportunities for the gospel too. And we give them a church invite and some cookies and stuff and that kind of thing. We also we have to figure out what's going on with the college. I know that the college that's near us, Northeastern, is also out for spring break, but there's a ton of international students over there who may be left behind. So we're going to, we got to look into that. We've never done anything during spring break at Northeastern and had those two things intersect. So we're going to see how that works out. But we hope to do some ministry down at the college too.
Yeah. So this group of students that's coming, they'll be busy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But they're going to be doing like real evangelism. They're going to be interacting with people, giving things away. So it's going to be, kind of one-to-one kind of thing. And just that's really encouraging. They're not coming to do a building project. Those things are helpful at times, and we need them. But they're coming to do actual evangelism. They'll be on the streets of Boston looking for opportunities to share the gospel. And so if you're listening, you need to be praying for that team, obviously, and praying for Ivey as he leads that team, and just trusting that the Lord's going to do a work in the lives of people that they are able to interact with. And you've got a good group coming, Ivey. You've got a great group of college students that are coming that are excited about their faith and walking with the Lord well. And I think it's a very evangelistic group. So I think you've got the cream of the crop coming. And so I'm excited for you. And so we'll put together a team to come in the summer as well. So what will be different in the summer? We'll bring maybe some college students in the summer, but probably more of our seasoned people like your dad. And so what can that team expect if they come in the summertime?
Yeah, so summer tends to be a little bit more bigger ministry because you can gather people. It's not freezing outside. We do movie nights. We do basketball clinics, sports clinics, things like that are really, we saw over 200 families come out this past summer to our movie nights. And every single time they came out, we were able to invite them to church and love them. And we had almost 80 kids at our basketball clinic this summer, which they got a full-blown gospel presentation every single night. So it's a little bit bigger ministry when we can do it during the summer. This is more individualized, and we'll be talking to individual people. And one of the goals of the team will be for each of them to meet 10 people from Jamaica Plain and not just learn their names, which would be good, but maybe a little bit about their story. Too. And so that helps them as a team connect to the community And in many ways, it's really beneficial to us because it's like, I've explained it to people like this. Jamaica Plain is like a mountain. God's given us a pickaxe, and he's like, make a path for Jesus through that mountain,
Wow.
Prepare the way of the Lord. And so that's what they're doing. Just when they go out and they share the gospel with people, they just have that pickaxe and they're just going through that mountain.
That's great, man. That's great. Yeah. Well, I'm thankful that we're able to come up there and support you, and I hope that we are help and a blessing to you and to the people of the city. And I mean, every time we talk, man, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by your dedication to that city. I know you're in a interesting place. I know it's much different than Charleston. Charleston has its unique challenges as well. Obviously, there's wherever you're around people, there's brokenness and there's there's sin and all kinds of things. And so wherever you minister, it's challenging. But I know that Boston has some unique challenges, and I'm glad that you and your family. And what's so interesting about Boston, and you know this because you're there. I mean, as far as the history of Christianity in the States. That's such a significant place. You think about, the Great Awakening and all those things that were happening in that area. And so there's this heritage of faith in Boston, and it's just it's sad that heritage of faith has not, I guess, survived through the years, that particular area has become really lost. But God's able to turn things around, and we're trusting God for that. And I know you're there, and I know not only you're there, but there's several South Carolina guys that are up there trying to make a dent in lostness and being used by God. And so I'm very thankful for you guys and taking that huge step of faith to be there. And I know that more churches are being planted up in that area. And so praise God for that. Praise God for what you guys are doing. And man, we're just really thankful for you. So I just want you to know that your Northwood family is behind you. We're praying for you, and we're looking forward to sending teams up there and looking forward to hearing the reports of how God continues to use you and how God continues to use Arborway and how God uses these teams that he's sending up there as well. So, Ivey, thank you for your time. Pops, you got anything you want to say to your son?
Yeah, I do appreciate you and what y'all do up there, and it is a blessing to know. I was thinking about that this morning. It's a blessing to know that y'all went where God called you. I always talk about my kids being all over the country, and they are, but I feel like they're where God wants them. You know, and we raised y'all to go and do what God wanted. And so, parents, I want to encourage you. Yeah.
It's hard to let the kids go, but man, what proud dad you must be to see your kids serving.
But let them go. That's that Frozen song. Let them go. And it's so important that we release them. And Hudson Taylor reminded me of that a long time ago when somebody said, "I'll give 1,000, I'll give 100, I'll give," and they were standing up at a meeting. Hudson Taylor was speaking, and he said, "I don't want your money, I want your children." And that's what we're. That's what we dream for. That's what we live for.
That's good, Pops.
So anyway, old man crying, sorry. But anyway, the whole thing is I'm just as proud as I can be of y'all, and I just appreciate what God's doing there.
That's good stuff.
Pastor, this has been really good, and I thank you, Ivey, for coming and filling us in as well.
Absolutely.
And Pastor, why don't you close us down and let us get ready for next week as well.
So I do hope that over this next week, as our college students are there, that you'll be praying for them and praying for Ivey. So make this a matter of prayer over the next week or so as we trust God to do a great work in Boston, not only next week, but in the months and years ahead. We, again, thank Ivey for joining us. If today was an encouragement to you, we sure would like it if you would hit that subscribe button so you can have new content delivered to your device every single week. Leave us a 5-star review. That helps us get word out about the podcast. And as always, we hope today's episode has helped you connect faith to life.